All right, we are recording. So thank you all for being here this morning. We're going to be talking to Greg and Joanne today. Obviously, there was some news that came out yesterday. We'll talk about that as well as some other things. I know Greg and Joanne have been, super connected to the agents in both offices as we've kind of been working through all this. So I'm sure they have some great stories to share about the fact that you guys are still out there, still busy, still doing business, still writing contracts, taking listings, all that good stuff, because you call them when you have questions. But I guess let's start off with a quick recap of yesterday's news. I know you guys did a video on Facebook yesterday, but for the people that didn't see that, why don't you give us a quick rundown of kind of what's changed in the last 24 hours?
Not much. Yeah, we'll just make it short and simple. After the governor said that issued the statewide stay-at-home order, we made the decision to let the staffs not come into the office for the duration of that time period. The offices are still open. I don't want to make any mistake about that. They're open. It's just the staff won't be there, but they are going to be working from home for everybody. So we're not closed. We're just having the staff work from home. You can go into the office, use the copier machines, use the conference rooms, whatever you want, as long as you got a lot. You need the code to get in. We're happy to give it to you. But we just made the decision after the governor's announcement that we would let the staff work virtually during this time period. Just out of abundance of caution. So I am actually going to be in the office right after this today because I've got to work with the two MCAs for transmittal. So yeah, so it's business as usual. And I just want to also say, I just listened, and it's not totally business as usual, obviously. I was listening in on Joanne's team call this morning, and a couple of the agents were talking about the fact they were trying to get the finalize a new build contract this morning. So people are still purchasing houses, and they think this is a great time to buy. Good morning. Yep.
So one of the things we understand, it's not business as usual, and we also know that we did this. Everything we have done, we've done in an abundance of caution. We never put anyone in harm's way. And I want you to know, Greg will probably be at the office every day because we're going to want to celebrate our 28th wedding anniversary on May 23rd, and 30 days locked up together, probably not so good. So thank God we're essential services is what I got to say about that. But I do want everyone to know that, for example, we had Susie Colas had a deal. She represents the seller, and the physician's loan dried up, and I found her another one. Like, people are doing business out there, and I would urge you, if you can close early, close early. And I listened to Governor DeSantis this morning talk about his decision. I know that, the president really helped him make that decision. But if you go down our list of essential services, like, we can take Chloe to the groomer, we can do all those things too. So, but I understand, stay your distance and take care of yourself.
Right. I also want to remind people that we did get our attorney to write us up a letter that we emailed out to each and every agent.
Hey, Greg, can you come closer to the microphone? We can barely hear you.
Yeah. I want to also say we did send out an email with an attachment to it with a letter from our attorney that says that you are an essential service under the Department of Homeland Security and, of course, Florida. So you can keep that in your vehicle in case someone says, hey, what are you doing here? Real estate is considered an essential service, and the attorney put together a letter for us right off the bat to tell everybody that in fact is so.
May I also mention that besides real estate services, closing companies, mortgage companies, repair companies, people are asking about their inspections and getting the repairs done. Repairs to homes are still essential. So that was on the list. So everything that we should be dealing with in our business is pretty much on the list.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even moving companies.
Yes.
Yeah, really anything related to real estate transactions. So that gives us a pretty wide berth of things.
Yeah.
And I think it is really important to understand that business is still, like Greg and Joanne just said, business is still happening, and a lot of it, I got a text, I think she's on here, Kate Ackerman. I'm going to unmute you. I got a text from Kate last night. Why don't you tell us about your day yesterday?
So yesterday we had under contract, and it was from someone from a mom's group I was in. I was actually coming from contribution. She said she just moved here from LA because of the virus. She was going to move in a couple months, but moved now.
Just no more.
And she was looking for a rental. And I said, I don't really do rentals, but I'll totally help you out. And by talking with her further, being a single mom, she actually preferred to buy and just thought she couldn't. And then I got her in touch with Jamie Black, and turns out she was pre-approved up to like 350, and we found her a perfect house, and she loves it, and she's so excited, and we went under contract yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I just wanted for you to share that story. Thank you for that.
That's awesome.
So Jamie, I know you have some questions and some things you wanted to discuss this morning. So please go ahead and unmute yourself and jump in here. Take it over.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I just wanted Joanne to share how she's working with her team, some of the things that you're doing, because I know everyone knows that you run a team as well, but how are you working with your team? What are the things that you're doing?
We are we're working on having fun. And today, for example, it's Fun Day Thursday. We're going to be doing a toque fashion show. We'll also be teaching people how to make the best Bloody Mary, and we will be learning about essential oils and how they can help you sleep, things like that. Also providing information on what happens when you ask for your mortgage payment to be deferred for a little bit. So we're coming from contribution, having some fun, adding some value. My team has always got a call every morning at 8:15, not 8:30, 9 o'clock, at 8:15, 4 days a week. They have to report their numbers. We take care of everything through CTE. We look at their pipeline. We have standards, and we're being supportive, but also my coach, I have a MAPS coach, an amazing coach who is in Gary's Top 100, and she'd love to be on a Zoom call one day with us. And she said, the way you show up right now is the way that you need to show up every day. This is what it takes, and keep your head above water. So the team is highly accountable. And we're looking for the opportunity to serve. You know, we always do. And we took great, ideas out of calling your sellers, looking for some more leads. We're currently holding a decent amount of inventory. We've got 9 pendings, and Mike's still doing some more deals. I know that I am as well, and Jacob and Dana are out there pounding the pavement. So high accountability. And I also want to say that whether it's Jacob taking care of somebody's horses who can't come back from Germany, or I'll just say personally, I'm sewing masks. I'm helping a family through a very tough time with a young child who attempted their life. I'm also dealing with, helping Gloria Weed get off the freaking boat. I tweeted the president numerous times, DeSantis and everything. The team is looking at what they can do for others and not looking inward. Does that make sense? So I believe that the more you reach out and you help people, especially during this time, the easier it's going to be for you to maybe be inside or do what you have to do to stay safe or healthy.
That's awesome. I wanted everyone to know, I don't know if you've read this book, but this is one of the books that I'm reading, and actually for the 3rd time. It's by John Maxwell, Leadership. And I came across this early this morning, and I wanted to read this to you and Greg and just have you elaborate on it. And so let me just read this to you. In the face of uncertainty, people will conform, pull away to a safe place to protect themselves, and adaptable leaders who make leadership lean into uncertainty and deal with it head on. I like what Paul Kardowski, Executive Director Emeritus of Northeastern University Center for Family Business, said about this, though he used the word ambiguities instead of uncertainty. So can you elaborate on that? Because I think there's been a lot of people talking, oh my gosh, the leadership team, they're at the market center, they're not at the market center. And I just kind of want you guys to share. I want to say personally that I appreciate your leadership and the way that you've handled things, because leaders always have to make hard decisions. And so I was wanting you guys to elaborate on that.
Well, we obviously lean in, and I'm just going to speak for Greg because he just had to walk to talk to somebody for a minute. Greg has always leaned in, and right now I'm here to support him because he's had to make some really tough decisions. He's had pushback and things, and the calls that he's getting from the agents and everything. You guys have all been remarkable. but he's always ran in when others have ran out when he was in his crime reporting days. So if there was a fire, he was running towards it. He's been shot at. He's been in a hostage taking situation. So he's pretty fearless. And we do what we believe is best for all. It's not what's best for Greg and I. It's not what's best for one or two people. We look at what the good is for all.
Yeah, we were waiting to see. I wanted to keep the door, the offices open and stuff.
She's just talking about when it's uncertain.
Yeah.
You want to leave. Yeah.
When you're in uncertain times, you want to move forward. You want to be the warrior, not to back off. There's a
Can you
lot
move
of people
into
back.
the mic, Greg? Can you move? I mean,
Yeah, they can't hear you.
Okay. So when you're in uncertain times, you want to be the warrior. You don't want to be the one backing off. Because I have a firm belief, much like we did in the last shift, the agents that are out there capturing business, which we've heard from all this week,
Yeah.
they're going to be on top of the game, while the other people who are backing off, or the other offices who are basically not doing any businesses, you're going to capture their share of the market. And that's key, because the economists who I've been reading and watching are saying that when we come out of this, they're expecting a boom in the economy. Now, nobody has a crystal ball,
Right.
but there's going to be a lot of pent up demand. People are going to want to get out there. They want to go shopping for houses again, and they are going to want to continue on their lives. So I could see a lot of people wanting to get out there and get those houses they wanted that they stopped prior to when this all began.
And can I say that, when we went through, this is not my first or fourth shift. I went through a really tough time as a mortgage lender up in Canada when everything just stopped. And Greg talked about that. People were selling their homes for $1 just to get out of the mortgage payments. And so what we did then was we moved forward. And this is interesting too, because I was thinking about that this morning at 2:30 in the morning. When we went through this in 2006, 2007, we owned one market center with about 35 people, right?
Yeah.
Close. I guess we got up to 55. Now we have two business centers and way more staff and way more people, and it's expanded our whatever. It's expanded. But
when everybody else was contracting during the last shift,
Yeah.
we expanded. One is because for our market centers, we are a debt-free market center, both of them. We do have cash reserves in the bank. On top of that, I want to congratulate Kieran and Joshua, because they've already cut the budgets by 20%. Now, the reason we've done that is we want to be, lean and mean as we go into this, because as other brokerages pull back or hold or whatever happens to them, we're there and we're able to keep not only our doors open, but to expand, because we know this is a great time for expansion for those who have the ability to do so.
And I've taken some Jamie, I've taken some pushback, some flack, some bullying, quite frankly, about talking about business. And I want you all to know that Greg and I believe in capitalism. And we also believe in taking care of people as well. So we come from a place in Canada that had a party that was fiscally responsible and socially responsible. So we don't believe that there's anything wrong in doing business during this time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to be shamed. When I've been dealing with B Swanky and her story and what she's doing with the masks, and she's still selling $3,600 handbags, and she said, I'm not going to be shamed into the fact that I'm still selling handbags and I'm still keeping my people employed. And we talked about the dovetailing of conservatism, capitalism, and also being socially responsible.
Yeah, and I think it's about the mindset. It's what you've been through in life. And I know you guys, took a risk when you first started opening up the market centers. Do you want to talk about that? In the very beginning, it was not like the perfect time.
Well, Greg didn't know that it was a risk. He was busy still being a city editor. When we first started talking about it, Well, when we first started talking about it, it wasn't a risk. You know, it was, we were still flying high. Joe will attest to that in, you know, in 05 when we dealt with this. It was 06 in February, because we started seeing things go down in 05, August. But we were still determined to do it. And when I would ask other people, how long is this going to last? You know, we were saying, oh yeah, just, you know, it's just the usual 6-month shift. Well, anyway, it obviously it wasn't, but the fact that we followed the model with building the market center, and we had hiccups, there's no doubt about it, but we had commitment. I guess that's, you know, we had commitment, and that goes a long way.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I just want to say to the agents, you know, one of the reasons I even came on this team was because of your mindset and your business, you know, acumen and what you've done in the real estate business. And you're going to have those people that are going to push in and those that are going to, you know, run away, which is, I would encourage everyone to read this book right now, because it really talks about leaders making those very tough decisions. They're very unpopular. A leader will make the very unpopular decision. So I just want to thank you for your leadership. I know the agents maybe have some questions for you, or maybe Kieran has more questions. Do you have any, Kieran?
Well, I just wanted to kind of maybe piggyback off something Greg talked about, where at the market center, you know, I'm looking at our budget here, and I know Josh was looking at it in Bradenton, and we're seeing where can we trim some fat, right? Because we've been riding this high time, right? Everything's been good and groovy, and we're doing a bunch of business, so we have a little extra money to do some stuff with. So now is the time for you guys to do the same thing in your business, right? That's the message that's coming out over and over and over again from top agents, from our leadership at KWRI, from your coaches, whether you're in MAPS coaching or another coaching company. That message is consistent throughout the industry. So I am happy to help you with that if that's something you would like to do. I'm sure Joshua would, you know, I'll speak for him and say do the same thing with the agents in Bradenton, or Joshua can talk to the Sarasota agents. I can talk to the Bradenton agents. We're all, you know, one group here. You know, and when you're looking at those things, you want to look and see, you know, play red light, green light with that money. You know, okay, I'm spending this much money here. I'm spending this much money here. I'm spending this much money here. If I spend $1 here, I'm earning $8. If I spend $1 here, I'm earning $2. So what's the smart thing to do? Eliminate that $2 bucket or move the money over to the other one. So those are the types of things you want to look at in your business to just kind of shore everything up as we go through this.
And I'm going to say, yeah, and as you do it, I will too. There's nothing like a great financial statement to get me all jazzed. So, and I was a single mom, and Jamie and I talk about feeding our kids, you know, pancakes and craft dinner. We know what it's like to work with very little money, and what it is like to tighten belts. So whoever wants some help on that, we're willing to help the MCAs help you, and look at what you need to cut from your personal budgets, as well as from your work budget, your business budget.
Yeah, and then that kind of segues into one other thing I wanted to mention this morning. I've actually gotten some questions about it in the chat this morning, but a lot of you have probably seen there are some grants and loans and government programs out there that, you know, realtors are able to take advantage of. Whereas in the past, you know, whether it was back in 2007, 2008 when the TARP Act came out, you know, a lot of that stuff wasn't available to us. So now it is. They've been very specific because of the great efforts of organizations like Florida Realtors and National Association of Realtors. They've made sure that your voices are heard during this time. So a lot of these programs can benefit you, and at a really, really impactful way. So this Friday at 11 o'clock, you all should have gotten an email. I posted it on our Facebook group also. But this Friday at 11 o'clock, I've arranged for one of the top CPAs in our area to get on a call with us on Zoom. And she's going to be telling you exactly what is available to you and how you can take advantage of it. So I encourage you all to jump on there. She's going to be really digging into some of the specifics. So I wanted to mention that just because I've been getting some questions about it this morning. Other than that, I wanted to just open it up. We've got about 7 or 8 minutes left, because I know we've got to jump from this right into our shift meeting with James Shaw. So we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left for everybody on the call to just ask your questions or share any wins or challenges you're having. I'm sure Greg and Joanne would love to help with that.
I'm just going to say it's our PAC. It's our monies that we donate through our PAC that helps things like us get these kinds of grants and things available to us. So I do want to thank the National Association of Realtors and Barry Grooms FFR, because it made the difference.
Yeah.
That's where your money goes.
I'd like to ask a question if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Specifically for, well, either of you, but Greg, regarding the market update and stuff. I asked this question a little bit on a shift call yesterday, but I'm still a little bit muddy on what I should tell this person. Basically, I had someone on the verge of purchasing a property, and she decided, because Airbnb is shut down right now, well, not shut down, but basically, you know, you can't really rent anything under 30 days or whatever, that she wasn't going to proceed with purchasing the property, and she wanted to wait till COVID-19 was over, and doesn't really know how Airbnb is going to look overall this year. And so my question is, do you, I mean, obviously we don't have a crystal ball, but do you see in the summer us still picking up as far as Airbnbs go in our area, or what is your prediction from your perspective?
You know, I'd like to have a crystal ball, but I think of it this way. Right now, nobody's allowed to do anything as far as vacation rentals, because the governor cut that out. So if you wait till everybody, it's always the thing in the shifting market. All sorts of people were trying to guess the top of the market, and they missed it, right? And they ended up being the ones who got foreclosed on at the bottom of the market. Then there was a bunch of people trying to guess the bottom of the market, and they missed that. So they ended up paying more than the people who saw it go down and said, I'm getting in now, right? So the people who get in now as the market shifts, and you've got...
I can't hear you. I can't hear you now.
They're jumping in when others are afraid. It's the risk takers who jump in when others are afraid. No risk, no reward, who will get rewarded. I watched a bunch of investors during the last shift buy up a bunch of properties when everybody else was scared, and they're still reaping the rewards right now of
They have a multi-million-dollar business.
They have a multi-million-dollar business where they only spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on properties.
He was buying properties for $45,000, $55,000.
Yeah, they're worth 150, 160,000 now. So, and he's got 45 of them.
And he still does it.
Yeah.
It's up to like 55. So,
Yeah. So those are the kind of people who take the risks now, because if they wait till this is all over, they're going to be joining the hordes doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be part of the lead pack and then behind with the rest of the horde.
And Rachel, I'll just say that's another great reason to be on these calls every morning, because you get to hear stories like we've heard many. Like, I'll just use Joe for an example. Joe shared a story, I don't know, I think it was the first week of our calls a couple weeks ago, about he had a buyer who he'd been working with for a short period of time. They were still interested. They ended up putting in an offer that even Joe said, there's no way this is going to go through. Like, this offer's, you know, out of the realm of reality. And those sellers were in a position where they needed to move that property. And they said, done, 30 days, let's close this thing, let's go. Didn't even count.
That was this week?
That was, yeah, I think a week or so back. Yeah. So,
okay,
you know, if you have that information, and it's weird because I've heard agents kind of not arguing, but discussing, are we in the buyer's market, are we in the seller's market? Well, I think it's a really unique market. I think we're in both, because you have sellers that are phenomenally motivated right now because of whatever they have going on, and they are willing to be a lot more flexible. So the buyers get a little bit more of an opportunity in that situation. And like I keep saying, we're all about connecting people, right? That's what we do. So if we can connect that seller and that buyer, well, we create a win for both of them. And I think it's how you approach it with your clients. And we've heard so many people, you know, Jessica Uglick, Laura Rode, you know, Joe and Charles have had some great examples of how they're doing that to create those wins for people on both sides of the transaction.
In a sense, do you feel like it's them playing in a way off of the seller's fear of what could happen?
No, not at all. The seller has a goal. Like in Joe's example, this seller lives out of the country. They can't even get to their property right now. It's fully furnished. They've got all this stuff sitting there, and then they're of course dealing with this in their country. So they were looking to liquidate that asset. They said, we want to pull that cash out. We want to get this property. Right. So Joe is able to facilitate that for them. They achieved their goal. The buyer achieved their goal of buying a great home at a great price, and everybody's happy. So absolutely not. We're not taking advantage of people. Absolutely not. what we're doing is trying to help people reach their goals.
I want to weigh in on that. I want to weigh in on that because that's a mindset. That's a mindset thing. It's any high I or high S may have those feelings, and I get that. In any situation, you know, an I or an S doesn't want to feel like they're taking advantage of somebody. However, someone will, and like Kieran said, there are sellers that want out. You know, that's why the script is talking to sellers that you have right now that maybe to give you a referral. For example, those Canadians or those Brits that they're not coming back. So it's not taking advantage. It's the same thing as making your calls to your database. You're not being a salesy person. You're there truly to help and serve. So you're doing a good job. Just keep doing more of it.
Yeah. So what's the first part of our value system at Keller Williams?
Contribution.
Win-win or no deal.
No
I think
deal.
we need to create a win for everybody involved. There's a few other people that had unmuted themselves that may have questions. Marcia, do you have a question? I saw you were unmuted.
Do you know what? I do have a question for Greg. I'd like to know if he could give me some of his investor contacts, if I could email him.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that offline? Can you connect with them?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I'm going to do that offline.
Okay. And then Maureen, you were unmuted.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I just want to go back to personal finances a minute, and thank you so much, both of you, for doing this and bringing up the finance issue, personal and business. So I grew up in a very poor environment, and with that, throughout all of my life comes the shame of not being able to pay a bill or paying something late or always being worried about money. And I was on a call with Cody Gibson and Abe Shreve yesterday, I think it was. And one of the things that they said, and I really want you to hear this, is that there is no harm in not taking advantage of what's being offered to you right now. I want you to think about taking the opportunity to delay your mortgage payment. There's no penalty for it. It goes to the end of your mortgage. There is no shame in this. Take advantage of all of the things that are being offered to you and learn about what's being offered to you. It's really critical.
Yeah, so be on that call on Friday to learn.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, Maureen, one thing, talk to your lender first. Some banks will add it to the end of your mortgage. Some banks, if they give you a 90-day forbearance, will want all 4 months in month 4. So it's very important you have clarity around that. Very
Thank you, Karen, you're right.
There's a third lender that will re-amortize your mortgage with those missed payments in it, so your mortgage payment. So there's 3 options.
Yeah. So just get clarity on that. And then we have time for one last question, guys, because we do have to jump onto the other call. And I saw Rosa, you were unmuted. If you want to ask your question.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Hi.
So my question is, of course, we're living something that nobody had ever lived before as far as the stay at home. I'm expecting less buyers going out to see homes, you know, for these 30 days. So how do we handle listings? I have, for example, a vacant home. Do we keep lowering the price even knowing that there are less buyers out there seeing the homes until finally somebody bites?
So if you do this shift book, you need to have sellers who are motivated. You don't want to carry a bunch of listings where they're not motivated to sell. If you see the prices going down in a market, Ron Pepka always used a great example. How do you stop a slinky going down a set of stairs? You get in front of it. So you want to have those fierce conversations about price reductions, because if they really want to sell the house, they're not only going to have to be the best looking house in the neighborhood, they're going to have to be the best priced house in the neighborhood, right? In order to attract the buyers. We sold tons of houses during the Great Recession, right?
Best years ever.
Best years ever for our sales. We were carrying like 105 listings. Now we did do a lot of foreclosure and short sale work, but you know what? All those properties sold because they were, we cleaned them up and they were the best price houses in the neighborhood. If your sellers don't want to do that, then yeah, they're going to be sitting on the market a long time. You just have to have that fierce conversation with them.
And Rosa, I would go back and watch our call from this week with Ron, because we actually got into a deeper conversation around that. So you could go back and watch that. And
right. No, I was thinking of just
the idea that right now, because of the stay at home, we might have less buyers. So just keep lowering anyway.
I think it's about finding ways to service the buyers that we do have, innovative ways, which is what we're talking about every day. So I think the buyers are still out there. We just need to get creative around how we're going to service them.
Yeah, just one thing about that, Rosa. There's a lot of people sitting at home right now that are shopping online, like everything else. So they are looking at your virtual tours. They're looking at all that stuff we put online to look at houses, even more than they were before. And they were doing a ton of it before. So if I was out there, I would be making sure I had the best virtual tour of the home and say to the buyers, look, if you want me to go back and take a extra photo of this or some video of this, I'm all for it. There's nothing wrong with buyers putting an offer on a house sight unseen.
Mike Polachek, are you on the call? What's the sentence, or Claire Patterson, what's the sentence we put on every listing that we have in the general remarks? Okay. It's basically that this home is available for a virtual tour or a personal tour. And I would also go into your database and email that database that listing and say, do you know anyone who would be interested in this property? And talk about the highlights in the community and how wonderful it is.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
So guys, we're a couple minutes over, and I know that we have our shift call to jump into. Yeah. Erica and Andrew, I saw you guys had unmuted stuff. If you can just send me your questions, I'll make sure I get those answered for you, and I'll share them also with
They weren't questions, actually, it was a solution.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, real quick. Go for it.
Okay. For Rosa, it seems though the biggest fear for our listings right now is that we don't want to be going into someone else's house. If you've got a vacant house, give a shout out to someone that can come over and disinfect it and help have your seller work with your seller on that in terms of cost. If you can market it that you're removing that fear, you might get more activity.
And I have someone who will do that.
Awesome.
Me too.
Guys, let's finish on that note. We've got our call again tomorrow. Jamie has a phenomenal guest lined up for us tomorrow. $25 million producer. She's a single agent, does that all by herself. And she's going to be getting on the call tomorrow. A great lady. So we encourage you to be on there. We have our call at 11 o'clock tomorrow also with the CPA around all the various programs available. So everybody go jump on shift, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Have a good day, you guys.
Thank you.